Dan, you were there from the beginning. Can you put this in perspective? And I'm not talking the beginning in '99. I'm talking the beginning when you guys were both assistants under Fitz.
No, I can't. You can't put it in. Nobody can put it into words. I tell people that, as cocky and young and naive and brash as Mark and I were in our 20s, and we'd sit around and think we could do anything, even with that kind of attitude, I don't think the championship or an NCAA title, because we were at that point, we had never won a West Coast Conference a game, in the tournament, let alone a game in the NCAA tournament. But I will say that if there was one person in the world that could have this vision, it would have been Mark. Mark was a visionary. He was always the one that would recruit the guy that people said you couldn't have. He was always the guy that would schedule the team that they said you couldn't beat. So his vision was as close as anybody's, and obviously he's made it come true.
Why has he been so successful over these years? What is it about him that has made him? Because I mean, you've known him a long time. That has made him who he is.
Well, he's a unique person. He is who he is. He's very comfortable with who he is. He's stubborn. He's very smart, and those are two very good qualities for a coach. He's very smart, but he's stubborn. He's going to have it his way, and he's got ability to lead. He's got ability to convince people that they're crazy not to do it his way. I remember when we weren't supposed to be recruiting against Washington or Washington State, and in 15 minutes, the kid would be feeling guilty to even be able to. I can't give you another reason why I would go to one of those schools. You're right, Coach. I guess I'm crazy. And the kid walked in, I think, thinking that there was no way he was coming to Gonzaga. He just. Mark has got a way about him, and I think it's grown too over the years. He's done a great job as a person of growing, as a family man, as keeping things in perspective, and that's why he's he stayed where he is and not just sustained at Gonzaga, but his vision has allowed it to get better all the time. We evaluate each other's teams, and I think he always says, you and I are realists, and I got to hear what your opinion of my team is. And I probably told him 10 times, 12 times in the last 18 years, Mark, I think you have the best team you've ever had at Gonzaga. And I say that because that means he's not just sustaining it, but incrementally he would get teams better into where this program is now, not just in the championship team as a hot mid-major team. He's in the championship game because he's got one of the best two programs in the country right now.
Evaluate his team then. Is this his best team?
Absolutely. And I told him that in November, after I'd seen it 2 or 3 times. And for the first, not the first time, but usually in those 10 or 12, he's, but we can't do this and we can't do that. He has everything but agreed with me this year, and to where I think even last week he admitted it to people. But even with me, he didn't fight it, like he usually does and try to, so we have things to argue about because that's how our relationship is, But he it's absolutely because of the balance of it, because of the size of it, because of the defense. He's probably had as equivalent offensive teams, but not the depth, not the defense, not the rebound. I think the rebounding is underrated, which, by the way, if they're going to win tomorrow, they're going to need.
He's reached out to former players. He's reached out to former assistants. He's reached out to you. What does that tell you about Mark Few, that he wants to make sure that everybody who's been associated with Gonzaga wants to be part of this?
Well, again, that's who he is. And he's also visionary. I don't think in his wildest dreams when we were 20 he thought about it, but the last 18 years when he's gotten a tournament, he's thought about this moment because he's just got too many details down. He's texting us for practice today, for the war room last night, for the bus with Marcy. And you ask Marcy, that was a great idea to let all us coaches sit together, and she goes, "That's Mark." He's thought of this before, and that's why if I have a regret in my career, it's that I enjoyed the '99 run, but it was so early in my career I didn't appreciate it enough. And I think we're all appreciating this because this has been a 25, 30-year thing to go, and that's what and he's letting us do that. And I just I can't. It's meant the world to me. There's his phone call on Sunday morning to tell me he wants me and my family. My family wasn't even born. I didn't even have kids when I was at Gonzaga. I wasn't married. And he said, hey, they're all a part of it, and you got to be there. And so last night I told him, okay, if you're going to give me credit for the start of this thing, I don't want to be known as the guy that started the team that finished runner-up. Okay, I want championship out of this deal. So that's the sympathy I give him.
There's always going to be a part of you that's a Zag. What would a championship mean to you?
Well, what's been interesting about this week, what's really been gratifying for me, because I've gone to Minnesota and struggled and, had ups and downs in the career, and the same at Long Beach, But once you're a Zag, you're always a Zag, and that's so true because it started as a family, and that's what Mark's trying to say by keeping everybody included this week. Is this isn't one of those programs that is about a group of players or a team. It's about, he's had 2 different functions with all the players, former players invited to, this week, and so it'll mean a tremendous amount, but it means so much more that. As I told somebody else, in your heart you're always going to be a Zag, but for the Zags currently to embrace you, that's really satisfying. And for Mark to tell people, when he introduces me, this Dan was here when we started this. He was responsible for some of it. To hear that, you don't feel that way because it's been 18 years. This is what Mark's built, not me. But for him to give you that little piece, that is something that you'll treasure forever. And to end it with a championship, again, I couldn't fathom it at 25 years old, and it's still hard to grasp right now at 55.